She demanded 2 breakfasts this morning. She had she went, I said, do you want cereal or cheesy crumpets? And she went, cereal first, then cheesy crumpets.
Cheesy crumpets? Sounds amazing. Can you make me some cheesy crumpets the next time I come down? That sounds great.
Yeah.
No, I've never had your cheesy crumpets.
It's just cheese on toast, but instead of toast, it's crumpets.
Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. Don't start. Yes, it is weekly. I just had a week off, all right? It's allowed. This week, we are talking about EastEnders between the 22nd to the 25th of July, 2024. Hello! Hi, we are back. I promise I have no more time off booked until October, all right? So we're here now for the foreseeable. No more holidays for either of us, I don't think, for a little while. So all being well, you've got us for the long run now. Welcome back, Ree. How are you this week, all right?
I'm good, thank you, Rob. How was your time in Budapest?
Oh, I love Budapest. Have you ever been? It's great.
I've not been to Budapest. No.
I spent an entire week drunk. It was marvellous. Honestly, it's so cheap there. Honest, for a city, the capital of Hungary, it's really, really cheap. I went to a theme park, which was the maddest theme park I've ever been to. Like randomly, we just saw it on the list and was just like, we'll go there, shall we? And it was insane, like ridiculous rides.
I feel like you wouldn't like rides.
I love a
you
ride.
Like going on rides.
Some rides, yeah, but some rides. I think everybody's got a limit as to what ride they don't do, and I'm not very good. I don't like those rides that sort of. As long as I feel safe in a ride, then I'm fine. If I don't feel safe, and if I look at a ride and think I'm not going to feel safe on that, I won't go on it.
Okay.
But like roller coasters and everything, not a problem. But things that like are really high and like you know those massive swing rides, you know, we just go.
I was just thinking
never in a million years, never in a million years you're going to get me on one of them because I don't feel safe. So I'm held together 100 foot up in the air by 2 chains. Get lost. I ain't going.
There were one of those on my local park the other week. No. I was like, are you joking, man?
No. So yeah, I've eaten a lot. I've drank a lot. I've had like 40-degree sun beating down on me, so I've had a great time. It's been marvelous.
40 degrees there, Rob.
It was really hot. We're in the middle of a heat wave down there as well. It was a thing. But I'm back now, so hello. And my goodness me, did I choose a bad week to have off last week, didn't I?
Yes,
because it was a bit of a busy week. Sorry about that. Let's talk about last week, shall we? Because it was quite the week. So, the mysterious phone calls that Ian had been having, we theorised who it could be, but it was revealed in, let's be fair, an unspoilt surprise return.
Yes, it was actually,
fabulous, wonderful Laurie Brett as Jane.
Yes.
Now, I loved it. I loved it so much. Just like everything about it was great because. Go on.
I was just going to say, I feel like we needed to see Cindy and Jane meet.
Honestly,
that was just perfect.
It was the meeting of 2 characters that we didn't know we needed to happen until it was sort of like, oh, wait, this could happen. Yeah, we need that to happen. As soon as Cindy came back, we were like, well, we need Jane back at some point then because that conversation needs to happen. Because you do not realise until these two are actually in the same room how much kind of anger and resentment there's going to be between these 2 women. All right. So obviously everything that Jane did to Lucy in terms of taking her body to the woods and dumping her in the woods to protect Bobby, there's all that. But then at the same time, Cindy's other son shot out her womb. Only in these sentence
I temporarily forgot about that until Jane came out with it, and I was like, oh. Is that brand new information to Cindy?
No.
Did Ian not?
No,
did
she
Ian
didn't
fail
know
to mention that?
Of course he did.
That's quite a big thing to fail to mention there, Ian.
Didn't mention that. So they have got that sort of. It just stuns me that since the hypocrisy of Cindy, she has 0 right to grieve about any of her children. Sometimes I swear to God, you really.
You say that, Rob.
Come on.
I agree, Rob. I agree to an extent, but still, Jane did drag Lucy's body to Walford Common and bury her.
Both in the wrong. But
neither of them are perfect. Hey, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Jane. Jane can drag another dead body to Walford Common. I don't care. I'd forgive her. But from Cindy's perspective, you know, kind of fair.
The only person, I mean, apart from Ian, obviously, the only and Peter, but like, she's got a right to be angry about it, but at the same time, it's very easy to go, and what about you, Mrs.? You know, I mean, there was a great slap, love a slap, good slap between Cindy and Jane, yes.
I loved them. I loved the fact that they were both drinking red wine. I was like, Ian loves a red wine drinker wife, doesn't he? Look at him.
Oh, it's just hilarious. But then, I mean, also talking about Cindy's hypocrisy is the fact that she followed Ian there with George, by the way, with George, purely because Elaine was like, "Oh, she's feeling humiliated. Yes, go. I want to hear all the gossip."
I know.
But it's just the hypocrisy because she thought that Ian was having an affair, and it's like, really, Cindy, really. Why these two don't just have an open marriage, I do not know. It would make them both a lot happier. Wouldn't it? It's
why wasn't, I mean, obviously she wouldn't want a partner to have an affair, but is she that bothered if Ian did have an affair, really? Do you think it's more the principle of, but I'm the one who has affairs, not you?
Yeah, literally, that's my thing. Don't you do it?
Yeah.
It's a humiliation for Cindy, I think. I think she sort of feels like Ian is the one person that just won't let her down because he's too much of a doormat. And for him to sort of go above the position that she sees him in is just completely and utterly out of order.
And she thinks she's got him wrapped around a little finger and he idolises Cindy, so...
Yeah. So when Ian eventually stood up to her and said no, and I think we're over, to be honest. I think we're done. She was absolutely floored.
Yeah.
And then Ian tried to kiss Jane. So the pair of them are a mess. An absolute mess. This marriage is just literally, well, it's not even a marriage.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant to watch. I absolutely love it because it's such a messy relationship. Neither of them are there because they are like fully in love with the other person. I think Ian is more in love with Cindy than Cindy is with him. Cindy is there purely because Ian is just a safe pair of shoes, basically. An old pair of slippers.
Yeah.
And Ian is there because he does love her, but they nailed it, didn't they, with that conversation between Ian and George where they basically described Cindy as an addiction.
Addiction, yeah, definitely.
She's worse. She's harder to get over than nicotine, that woman. I tell you,
I feel like, because otherwise I'm thinking, why is George involved in all this? But I think it was just so that we could have that scene with George and Ian, so Ian could see that George isn't a threat. I think that's why George went along, because otherwise I'm thinking, why is George involved in this meeting? But I think that's what it was.
I mean,
because that conversation.
I know, and I loved all that. I loved that George just kind of sat there like, wow, you lot of chaos. I thought I had problems. Jesus Christ, you lot are crazy. What? Dragging a body? So your daughter did what? That's mad. Absolutely mad. No wonder he doesn't want to go anywhere near Cindy. He's much better off with Elaine. Except, will he be happy with Elaine in the future? Their wedding's been announced. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I think yes. Yeah.
Chaos coming.
What about Jane and Bobby meeting? We spoiler Nino. Do we think this is the leading to Bobby?
I think so. Leaving? I think that's a really nice way for Bobby to exit. So he can go and be happy with the best mother figure he's ever had in his entire life, who was prepared to do anything to protect him. And it's actually the only person that Bobby has ever actually had in his life that is prepared to give him that much love and protection. It would make perfect sense for him to go off with Jane at this stage, I think.
And more so that she's got Masood there, who's obviously Muslim.
How is it? I mean,
that's why he's going to end up going there, because then they can bond over that with his new stepfather. I'm wondering.
Returns. We should discuss returns in a moment.
Oh, okay.
There's a big old discussion I want to have about returns that was all sort of kicking off last week. The other big storyline of last week was Anna's spiking.
Yes.
Now, this was because basically the whole of last week was all about the Beals. Like no other characters really featured if they weren't connected to the Beals. It was Beal week, wasn't it? It was It was a big old Beal week. And so whilst Bobby would kind of got like huddled away in a van to sort of see what Ian was up to. So all the Beals were over there dealing with the Jane drama, which meant that Anna, Gina, Felix, they went out for a night out, and Freddie, of course, and Anna got her drink spiked. Now the way this all played out was we sort of saw bits and pieces of it, but I think the majority of it was filmed in a separate sort of thing that you had to scan a QR code to go online and watch bigger details about the storyline. Did that work?
No.
I don't think it did either.
I don't think it did.
I think that for a storyline as important as talking about spiking, it needed to be as accessible as possible. And I
Yes,
feel
accessible is the word. Because you know what? I scanned the QR code and I got confused, and I'm quite tech savvy because
uh,
all it took you to was a link for the Instagram page, TikTok,
mm,
and all that. And I'm like, what's this? Is this just a. All
mm,
right. And then I clicked on it. I clicked on the Instagram one. By the time I'd gone on that, there'd been other posts. So,
mm.
like, I'm confused. Is this just so that they can get more Instagram followers?
I think it was a
And then
very
I
important.
realised that they were all on there, obviously,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after.
I think it was a very important storyline to do, and I feel like they didn't go the full hog with it because I think that
No, I
the problem
agree.
the problem was I think that they were trying to do this at the same time as the Ian, Jane, and Cindy stuff. Now I found that I was a lot more interested in that than what was going on with Anna because
That's
they were
true. Yeah.
because it was very much the B. It felt all of it. It wasn't like the spiky stuff was ever the A plot of the week. It was all about what was going on immediately with the Beals. So the
Mm.
spiking was sort of taking a back step to everything that was going on. And even that conversation, even that's those scenes that were kicking off in the cottage, I kind of wanted just to be a 4, 5, 6 hander. Just
Yeah, yeah.
that the
I know what
whole
you
episode
mean.
should have just focused
On
on that, and
location.
then
Yeah.
maybe and then maybe done the Anna spiking stuff later in the week so they could really
Mm.
focus on it. I mean, everything that was filmed about that was great. You know, I watched it all online.
Yeah.
It was all well done and everything.
Oh,
But I
see, and I
feel
don't
like
think they were that great online either.
maybe not. It wasn't. They weren't given enough sort of. It
It
wasn't
were
given enough meat to really sort of do the storyline justice. I don't think.
it was that, and the thing for me, right? I feel like I understand why they did it. They've
Mm,
alienated a huge amount of audience because there's so many people aren't going to go online and watch it, so they've
mm.
missed
Wouldn't
loads
even. So
there.
maybe they wouldn't even known it was there. To be honest,
Yeah,
would they?
exactly right. And then the thing I didn't like was how it was Felix's like point of view, like you were filming it. And I get why they did it, but it didn't work because to me that was quite insensitive that he would have gone and filmed all that stuff happening.
They didn't
And
feel
then he
realistic that anyone would film all that sort of thing.
exactly.
No.
I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, the only part that felt realistic that you might film was when we saw Anna in the cab, just so that they've got evidence. But if you're
Mm,
supposed to be streaming all this live, then it's
mm.
just really not cool. And then there were other bits now, like you won't film that, you won't be filming that. It kind of broke the fourth wall for me a bit too much, if I'm honest, with the
Okay.
fact that he's supposedly filming this. Were he streaming it live or were he just uploading it? I don't know which one. It
Yeah.
felt
I mean,
like he was streaming it
it
live.
was just being filmed, I think, and then it was sort of. I think the plan was
Yeah,
because they started of going, "Oh, we're gonna get drunk." Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was they. I think it should have had
I
more
get
because
it.
the thing is, what we got in the episodes almost felt quite a bit incomplete if you weren't aware that
Yes.
those things were there. Because Anna got spiked and then she sort of wandered away, and then we were led to believe
Woke
that the
up in
guy,
hospital.
well, no, we were led to believe that the guy that spiked her was standing over her and holding his hand
Yes.
out to her, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, Anna's about to be taken away by this bloke." But then the next thing that happens is that she wakes up in hospital. So we're sort of left with a bit of a kind of like, wait, what happened there? Then it felt a bit unclear, I think. And if you didn't
Ooh.
know that those things were online, it doesn't really answer a lot of questions and maybe doesn't do the topic justice.
Do you think that was supposed to be symbolic of that's how Anna experienced the
Anna's
night?
memory of it, maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
then
that's the
maybe
last
the
thing she
online
remembers
stuff was
is
supposed
that,
to,
and then she wakes
yeah,
up.
and then maybe the online stuff was to fill in the gaps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but again, that
yeah,
weren't that clear. I've only just thought of that
mm,
when you
yeah,
described
yeah,
it, so
yeah,
it weren't clear when you're watching it.
yeah. Mm,
Yeah, I mean, I thought it were good though, but I think it would have worked way better if they'd have just done the scenes that they did online as actual scenes
mm.
and had it as part of the episode. I get they were being experimental, and I get as well like some of it might have felt a bit too
Mm.
what's the word? Come on, and they try and do all special effects like when Anna were hallucinating Gina and Felix and
Stenesque.
stuff.
It's I think that and the problem with the whole doing it with the whole online thing and the QR codes, like I mean, it's easy to say that only the youth will find that accessible, and I'm sure there are people a lot older that are perfectly capable of doing all that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But I think what you're in danger of doing there is sort of saying that the young people are the ones that are more. I mean, yes, obviously it's more common for young girls to get spiked, but it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're really wanting to show off the dangers and the signs of someone being spiked, I think that needed to be as accessible as possible. So
Mm.
I think putting the two storylines together possibly wasn't the best way of doing that. I
Mm.
think it should have been
Yeah, I
maybe a
know what you're
bit more.
saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Made
I
more of
don't
a
know.
point of. I know we're gonna because it's kind of just been left on. She reported it to the police. Is
Mm.
there going to be anything else come of it? It just feels like it was there to experiment with the QR
Yeah.
code thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I wouldn't mind seeing there? A little spin-off series online of the gang going on nights out and stuff and making it an actual thing.
Like E20-esque sort of thing, like
Yeah,
that old series.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't feel like the point of view worked there because you don't do that. I get why they're doing it, but do people really video their entire night out like Felix did? I don't think anyone does.
I
Let's
don't
be
even take photos of
honest.
when I go on holiday most of the time.
Well, we're probably not the right generation to be
No, we're
asking this
far too
question, but
old.
I
Far
dare
too
say that
old.
even Gen Z don't do that, if I'm
Well,
quite honest with you.
let's not pretend that there wasn't such a thing as video cameras when we used to go out all the time at uni.
Oh,
Really,
well,
it was a thing.
we
Was a
uploaded
thing.
like 200 pictures onto a Facebook album from one
Yeah,
night out. I
those were the
definitely
days.
used to do that.
Yes.
Gen Z
So
cringe at that.
I know. So good ideas.
Yes, good
Maybe not the
ideas,
best.
definitely.
Maybe not the best execution in terms of the Anna Spiking
No.
storyline. I would say, which is a shame because there's
Mm,
a really powerful storyline to be told there, and
I agree.
I think maybe they undersold themselves a little bit because we know that
Mm,
EastEnders can do a storyline like that with its eyes closed.
yeah.
Okay, that's EastEnders can wake up and do a storyline like that before even having its coffee in the morning. You know,
Yeah.
so I get that they tried to do things a little bit differently, but I think that
Hmm.
maybe it didn't stick the landing quite as well as all the Jane stuff and all that. I mean, the
Yeah.
Jane Cindy stuff was all the soapy stuff, wasn't it? That people were
Yeah.
sort of looking forward to because it was these two characters that we wanted to
Hmm.
meet for the first time ever. And I think that very much overshadowed what they were trying to do with the Spiking storyline. So
Yeah. Agreed.
we'll see what happens in the future with it. But
Can I just
yeah,
ask
you
one
go.
last question though?
Yes, you may, of course.
Anna got mugged not too long ago.
You
Are
reckon
these
it's
linked
connected?
somehow? I
Could be
don't know.
connected. Could be
Because I'm
connected.
wondering why is
Either
it
that or
that
she's
she's got
unlucky.
mugged and then spiked?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you've got a point. Yeah, it might be
perhaps she's
connected.
unlucky, or is it the same guy?
She
Is
lives in
he
Walford.
targeting her for
Anything can
some
happen to
reason?
anybody in any time. In any time zone. But
Exactly.
it's a perfectly good point. Yeah,
What if he's
are they
stalking her
connected?
online or
Could
something,
be.
and that's
Could
why
be.
Felix has been doing
Mm,
it? The thought is
yeah,
that he's been
yeah.
tagging Anna. I don't know. Just
Maybe.
wondered. Just a
Maybe.
thought.
Maybe put a pin in that, perhaps. So going back
Yes.
to the subject of returns.
Oh.
Not only did we have Jane back last week, which was brilliant, and I hope we see her again. I love Jane.
Okay,
I
I know
so
we're
hope
not
to see
doing
her
gold
back.
stars for last week, but if we are, Jane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Jane and yeah, let's do Jane and Cindy for last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
There, it's
Yeah.
our podcast. We do what
Yeah.
we like. Stick them on the list.
Yeah.
Jane
There
and
we go.
Cindy for last week. There you go. But on the subject of returns, obviously we had Jane. We had Masood hinted at this week. We've got
Yes.
this is all spoiler stuff here. So Nina. We've got the return of Chrissy to come in
Yes. Yeah.
future weeks, and another return was announced last week that Michael French is resuming. The prop king himself is resuming his role as David for
Wicks.
a few of David Wicks. Thank you. I knew his name. I had it written down. I just didn't look at it. David Wicks for a short stint as well. Now, I feel like there is very much a stage of a world where Bianca's coming back soon as well. Her
Right,
storyline felt a
Bianca's
bit
100%
incomplete.
coming back because
Yes,
Patsy
for
Palmer is
reasons.
on Instagram posting that she's back in the UK again, so she
Yeah,
must be coming back to EastEnders,
yeah.
right? Let's be
And
real.
given what occurred this week, well, we
What
should
with
talk.
Reiss, do you mean?
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. All right.
But let's talk
Go on, sorry.
returns. We are in the
Yes,
run
let's
up
talk
to the
returns.
40th episode. We're still many months away from the 40th
Yes.
anniversary. But these returns seem to be coming thick and fast. And it seems
Mm.
to be the run up to it is going to be return, and just sort of go through some of EastEnders' best remembered characters and give them one last little blast in the limelight in order for the 40th, which is a lovely way of celebrating the show. I love that. I think that's a really clever idea. However, where is this leading to? Is this leading to? Are the returns just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger leading into the 40th? Has Clenners managed to do the impossible? Are we heading towards a short stint of the return of the Tolster? Has he managed to play the ace return card? Is that where we are heading? I wonder. Is Susan Tully finally going to be able to be persuaded to return as Michelle for a short stint for the anniversary?
You think about it, Martin's just been to see her as well. She's been mentioned, and we've had these little clues being planted about quite a few people, and then the next thing they're coming back. Like David got a mention the other week. He's been announced.
Geeta got a mention this week, for God's sake.
Oh yeah.
Remember Geeta?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Sanjay and Geeta, yeah, she got a mention this week, which I loved. I mean, even if Geeta doesn't return, I just love the fact that we've got a team who knows who Geeta is and who can just say, oh, yeah, it's Cindy's best mate. Yeah, we remember that. Yeah, throw her in. Great. Love it, love it, love it. So, what a team to have in charge of all of this.
Do you
But
think he has managed it?
could it be? Could it
Could be
be?
if it
Dare
were
we
just
hope?
like for
Dare
one
we dream?
episode or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, she has made it perfectly clear over the years. Like, no, I'm done. That was
I'm
that was
done, yeah,
then,
yeah.
that was then, and this is now, and I'm now. And she's now a very successful TV director. Like, she directs things like Line of Duty, the BBC's biggest shows.
Yeah.
Like, she does not need in any way to return for this. So this is only if they've managed to persuade her. Come on, it's the 40th.
It's Clenner's though.
Clenners has the magic touch, I think.
He
If
has. He
he
can persuade anyone.
has he managed to do it for the 40th, I wonder. And is this all these of like the pack of cards of returning, and right at the top is the Ace of Spades, the Susan Tully return. Is that what we're gonna get, I wonder?
How do you think he gets them? Do you think he has all these ideas written down for storylines? And then he just meets up with him and he's like, hang on, hear me out. Right.
Yeah.
This is the idea. And then he just sells it to him. And then they're like, yeah, I'm coming back.
He's clearly got the gift of the gab.
Straight
gift of the gab. Laurie Brett said in her interview, like, well, yeah, he explained the storyline to me. And I was like, well, yeah, obviously I've got a return for that. That sounds great. Like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, she is, and I feel like all these returns are very much leading up to something. I feel like this isn't the sort of.
I know what you're saying.
I feel like this isn't just going to be characters coming back for the sake of it. There's going to be a proper storyline for them to return to, even if it's a short stint. There's going to be a necessary reason.
You don't think it's going to be a whodunit and it's all going to be related to one person or something?
Who
or
knows?
is it our theory that we'll probably be discussing in a bit, actually?
Oh, yeah. But who else could be returning? I mean, yes, obviously Susan Tully would be like amazing and that would be like the ultimate thing. But I feel like given the storylines we've got going at the minute, it would suit if we've got David returning, we've got Bianca, we think returning, Carol.
Yeah. Carol, that's what I was just thinking. Carol,
that has to happen. Surely, if David and Bianca are back on screen together, then surely you need
Carol and Max.
Max.
We've been saying Max for a while.
Yeah, I think Max feels like a guaranteed one. I would also throw into the mix Grant. I think that feels lonely in a storyline. I think this will be a perfect time for Grant to come back for a little bit. Ross Kemp's in the UK. There's things like Bridge of Lies and everything, so he should be available. I think so. I think Grant. They always like to bring Grant back for when they can. So I feel like Grant's very much on the cards.
Grant and Jane, forgot about that.
Oh yeah, see. Oh, can you imagine when David comes back? Like Cindy's not going to have any idea who she's supposed to be sleeping with. You know what I mean? Like all of these are people that she could be having affairs with.
Jr.
She's going to be a busy girl. So it's very, very, very exciting. I have no idea what madness they might have planned for the 40th. And the thing is, I think that this is in some ways more exciting than what we had for the run-up to the 30th because we knew exactly what we were getting for the 30th. It's like, right, okay, so this is going to be, the 30th is going to be the Who Killed Lucy reveal, and that's going to be huge. We've got live week. It's going to be massive, all right? But we had an idea of what we were getting. I feel like we have pretty much zero clue what we're getting for the 40th at this stage, which feels exciting because clearly there is stuff planned, and Clennis has said in interviews, don't worry, it's all in hand. Oh, don't settle down. I'm just not telling you yet. All right, just settle.
Do you think it's going to be one big event that happens on the 40th, or do you think it's just going to be boom, 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 like for like a month?
Who knows? Who knows? But I feel like the way that these returns are being layered throughout this year, I feel like it's very deliberate the way that they're doing it. So it's presumably leading to something enormous. So I can't wait. It's really exciting. I'm so glad we do a podcast about this show right now, Ree. Isn't it the best?
Timing.
Isn't it the best job in the world?
I'm so glad I came on board when Clennis were here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very, very exciting. Right. This week, however, other stuff has kicked off. We shall let you have your smug moment later on in the podcast, Ree. It is coming, yes.
I've been
but we have
my smug face.
Oh, you've been basing it on my photos, have you? Is that what? Reiss says that I've got a smug face. We've had this discussion. Can you believe that?
It's because I asked Rob to send me a selfie for something.
And I sent her the nicest selfie that I've got of me. A selfie that I really like.
No, it's genuinely really nice.
That's the smuggest face I've ever seen.
It is the smuggest face I've ever. I think Rob was a little bit upset by it. I'm sorry, Rob. Can you believe that? It is still a beautiful photo, but you have just got.
I mean, I'll stick it here. I'll stick it right here. No. I'm going to stick it right here, and you can tell me in the comment section. Be honest, I can take it.
Oh, you just want to show off that lovely photo, don't you, Rob?
Yeah,
you just want to show off that lovely picture.
Out of the I mean, thousands of people sometimes watch us, so someone in there will fancy me, even if they do think I'm a bit smug. Right, let's start talking about the madness that occurred this week. So we've got a lot to get through. And we're going to start off with the Kat and Tommy storyline, because that is really going to be a big storyline going forward for the next few months. So let's get on with this week's proper Albert Square After Dark. Right then, let's talk about this week. And like I say, we shall start with Tommy, Kat, and Alfie. And my goodness me, has this storyline taken a slightly dark turn. So, Tommy is continuing to sort of rebel. He is turning into a little shite, isn't he? He really, really is. Not a nice kid at the moment whatsoever.
A little Michael Moon, might you say?
Yes, I feel like father like son could definitely be applied in this situation. But then, it's a mad thing that Alfie is the most positive male figure in his entire life.
That is true, actually. I didn't really think about it
that. With Phil as well. I mean, do you blame Phil for any of this? I feel like he's going to get blamed for a lot of it. But
you were just saying that, and then I'm thinking, out of everyone, Phil would be like, you don't punch him.
Phil would go, even though Phil did hit Peggy. But, he was drunk.
But still.
There's no excuse whatsoever. But, yes. But, yeah, we've seen, because I remember that when Denny hit Sharon, Phil went absolutely ape, didn't he? So, he would be furious when he discovered
but then there is a common denominator there, isn't there, I guess, of Phil being the stepfather.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to wonder if this is where Denny eventually was going to end up anyway. So I feel like Tommy is very much sort of treading in Denny's footsteps here before they decided to kill him off, because Denny hit Sharon and was a similar little thug in a lot of ways, So it's going in a similar direction.
There's a lot of culture like that, though, around young boys as well, isn't there, that we're seeing like these days. So I don't know. I personally think it's very much the nature v nurture argument of Michael Moon. That's all I'm seeing.
Well,
especially when he was like, "Oh, I'm really good at lying. It comes really easily to me," and he's quite charming with it as well, isn't he? Don't you think?
He's really kind of got the manipulation of Michael Moon going. Like, there wasn't a modicum of guilt for anything that Tommy did this week, so he is turning into a nasty, nasty little character. So him and Kat are basically just falling out all week. Kat's trying to get him shifts at the laundrette. He's getting mouthy with Yolandi, which instantly makes me think, you don't sit down, sir. Don't you start on Yolandi. I'm there. I'll go through the TV screen and slap you around the head. You behave yourself. And he's basically just rebelling. He has decided that he doesn't consider Alfie to be his dad. I mean, he isn't his dad, but he's basically the best dad figure that he's ever had, and this is Alfie. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's just
it says a lot, really, because he's not been there all the time. Alfie either.
That Alfie is his best option. But he's basically decided that Phil is the person that he wants as a father figure in his life. And now Phil, obviously, as we discovered last week, is now going through this loneliness storyline. So this works for Phil big time, because Tommy's all ready to move in with Phil.
But you know what? I kind of get Tommy's point of view on the Phil thing, though, because that's a huge loss for a kid. Kids get attached to, particularly grown-ups in the home, feeling like that was his forever home.
He's had no end of upheaval throughout his entire life, hasn't he? He's one of these kids that, I mean, bless Kat. She's done her best, but she's not exactly a stable figure in terms of relationships.
But this is what's frustrating about it. He's blaming Kat, and it's like, it's Phil who cheated, and you just expect your mum to just go back to him. No, Tommy, that's not how it works. You're disappointed, and I get it. Maybe I get why Kat's trying to not have Phil's influence, but maybe she should meet some kind of medium ground and say, right, maybe meet up with Phil once a week and have that time with him. I don't know.
Yeah, because Phil, I think Kat is also punishing Phil for what he's done separately. Like, disregarding Tommy completely, she has got her own agenda to settle with Phil. And
that she don't like, she's been hearing from everyone, don't let Phil influence your kid a lot as well. So I think it's a bit of a burden,
that never works well for Kat, because Kat's always has always been one of these people that that needs to make her own mind about things, and she's got lots of people telling her to do things. She's she's just do completely the opposite just to spite them. So it's all a bit messier on that front at the moment. It did result in a great line from Kat this week, which I quite enjoyed, that says that she rush more than Phil.
Very Kat, very on brand as well.
Yes, I mean, talking of Kat, this did result in the arguments continued until it resulted in Tommy punching her in the stomach. Kat then pushed him away, which I don't think you can really argue with.
Right. This is but that's quite an important thing that happened, because Tommy's trying to make out like she was completely in the wrong for pushing him. And I feel like, of course, you shouldn't hit a child or harm a child. However, if someone's just punched you in the stomach,
you want
your natural
you want them away from you.
reaction
Get away
may
from
well
me.
be to push them. That's
of
like
course.
that's like a fight or flight response. You just punch someone, you just punch her in the stomach. That's a reaction.
The fact that he fell over on the floor is like, oh, go on then, little man. You know, he felt a little bit humiliated, I think, at that point, so decided to rebel even further. But what this has been announced as, this is the start of a full-on domestic abuse storyline between Tommy and Kat. Initial reaction to this is that I'm delighted for Jessie Wallace, because she's been a supporting character for quite a long time as Kat. So this is the first big storyline she's had of her own for quite a long time. So that's good. Jessie Wallace obviously will knock this out of the park. You know, we know Jessie Wallace, and Sonny Kendall actually has not had a huge amount to do since he had some big stuff maybe a couple of years ago, I think, in which we first sort of noticed, oh, this kid's good. This kid will be great. So we know that he will do this well. He's already making Tommy so unlikable. So he's playing that very well. But yeah, this is very much the start of a big storyline for the pair of them. So when you discovered this, what was your initial reaction to how you think this is going to play out?
That is what I thought. I thought this is going to carry on then. I was surprised that Kat told Alfie so soon, but obviously that's because social services were involved. But the fact that that her initial feeling was to keep it quiet, and I think she's going to continue now because of social services being involved. So I think I don't even think she's going to keep telling Alfie that it's happening. She's going to act like everything's okay, which is what's going to lead to Tommy carrying on. I don't know I don't know how far it's going to go. I don't know if there's going to be some.
I wonder if Alfie will. It's interesting because because obviously Alfie has been on the receiving end of one of Tommy's lashing outs himself, so he knows that it's a thing. Now, the fact that he's now moved on to giving his abuse to Kat is obviously quite a big thing. You know, like Alfie's going to be like, right, okay, so this is escalated big time. And again, I feel like all the blame is going to be laid at Phil's door for this, because Phil has very much sort of stepped in and is trying to be the cool father figure. And you know, Tommy will walk into the boxing ring when he's supposed to be at school, and Phil's like, "Oh well, that's fine. You can box here. That's okay. I'm the cool guy," which Tommy obviously falls for completely. But I think that's just ignorance on Phil's part and him trying to sort of get somebody into his life rather than him battling against Kat and Alfie.
Times were different when Phil were probably his age as well. It'd be normal to wag school and go down to a boxing den, wouldn't it? No big deal. What are you on about?
Let's not pretend that Kat and Alfie had brilliant attendance records at school. Let's be fair here. But it's, you know, as you get older, supposedly, you know, you start to have, when it concerns your own children, you want your kids to be an absolute cherub and go to school every single day, so your own hypocrisy kind of disappears into the background a little bit with things like that, doesn't it? So yeah, this is interesting. I agree with you that I was surprised that Kat told Alfie so quickly, but I was delighted that she did, because actually I thought that resulted in a really strong scene, not only between Kat and Alfie. It's kind of cementing the reason that these two work together so well, I think, because I feel like there's been times where the Kat and Alfie thing since Alfie's return has felt a little bit forced in places, but I feel like it really worked here, because they aren't talking about romance, they're not talking about getting back together, they're talking about parents who are dealing with a really difficult child, and they have to do that together. They have to work together to make something better come out of this situation, and it resulted in, I thought, a great scene between Tommy and Alfie. I loved that scene where
go on.
Go on, now you say, go on.
I was just gonna say, I loved how Alfie walked in and was like, Tommy, and then the way that he said that first bit where like, have I got blue-eyed Tommy, or have I got little thug beats my
really nicely done scene
like,
that
was. I liked that.
It was a good, really good, strong scene, that one, where he basically said to Tommy, so you realise what you've done here? I don't think you do know what you've done here. You may have just completely and utterly destroyed this family and said goodbye to your brothers. How about that? Yeah,
that was smart of Alfie, though.
Really well played.
He knew what would make him respond. He knew, saying you might get spoiled from your mum, he'll be like, whatever. But it was saying Bert and Ernie might get split up and be separated. That made Tommy go, right. And I thought, well played, Alfie. Do you know what? I like Alfie again now after this week.
Yeah,
I'm very up and down with Alfie, but I've enjoyed Alfie this week.
I've enjoyed Alfie probably the most this week that I've enjoyed him since he returned. Actually, I think this is the storyline I think that Alfie needed. I think to sort of show. I mean, yes, the cancer stuff obviously was good in itself, but I feel like
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But do you know what I mean? Though the cancer stuff was good in itself, and it played to Alfie's strengths in terms of the vulnerability that we see in Alfie sometimes. That was fine. But I think something like this shows Alfie's stronger side as a character, where he's realizes he's got to step up at this moment and actually bring out the slightly angrier side of Alfie that we don't get to see all that often in a positive way. I mean, rather than him standing on the top of the stairs and chastising Cat for being abused like he did the last time he was back, which I hope we never
just forget about that
anywhere close ever again. Yeah, exactly. So this is the Alfie that we want.
Yeah.
So the future of this looks to be bleak, basically.
Yeah.
How far does this go? Obviously, this is not going to be Cat's last beating from Tommy. So where's it go?
I can't decide where it's going to go. I think Tommy's going to be very smart about it.
How far does it go from here? Because there's no guilt from Tommy whatsoever. This is the thing. Sometimes in these abuse scenes, what we say, especially, in terms of whether that be between husband and wife, whether that be between, you have this moment where the best example I could think of this was when it was in Corrie, when Simon and Leanne had a similar storyline to this.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember there being like modicums of guilt in Simon whenever he lashed out and angrily. There was nothing like that in Tommy. This is pure cold, pretty much calculated abuse at this point.
It's not like he's thinking, oh God, I've just acted in a way
what
I
have
need to learn how to control my temper.
Yeah.
Why have I just
not bothered?
It's like,
not bothered.
There's more of that coming, Mum. That's
not in the
pretty
slightest
much how he's
bothered.
being,
sorry, you're gonna lash out back at me. All right, I'll just bring the police then, shall I? Like this is another level. So I
don't know how far
worried.
is he going to take it. Is Cat going to be his only victim? Is he going to start?
The other side of this, of course, is this going to start affecting Bert and Ernie in terms of learners' behaviour? Like, are they going to start? Yeah. Are they going to start lashing out at Cat as well because they've seen because they're at a very influential age, so they can see their brother doing something. You admire your older brother, of course. So are they going to look at Tommy's behaviour and start acting that way as well? I feel like it could move in that direction as well, and then Cat's really going to be left with no idea of what to do with the situation.
Or is it going to end up being I don't know where this has just come from in my head. It's not that out of the ordinary. It's not that bad. Is Phil going to be the one who sees Tommy really lay into Cat sometime, and then Phil's just going to lose his crap and suddenly go on Tommy or something for it and be like, oh, you want to sit? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Like I mean, I'm intrigued to see
Phil taking his frustrations out on Tommy
I am intrigued to see where Phil is going to slot into this storyline or what role he's going to play. Because clearly Phil is a part of this story.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to sort of see where his role lies within it. I can see what will eventually happen is that Tommy will end up living with Phil at some point. And then maybe the ultimate ending of a storyline will be Tommy tries to hit Phil. And good luck with that, young guy. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's going to be the pinnacle of it because Phil is going to look at, oh, sorry, you're trying to start on me. Okay, this is a thing. So there's a number of different directions they could take this in. It's a brave storyline to do. It's an important storyline to do. It happens. Obviously, charities, all that sort of thing have all been consulted, so we know that they're doing it properly. I'm mostly delighted for that Jessie Wallace is getting something big to do because she's been in dire need of it. I think Kat's been. It feels weird because Kat's sort of been there and especially involved with the Phil stuff and the Phil and Sharon stuff. Like she's been great, but she hasn't had her own proper time in the spotlight for a long, long time. So I'm glad that she's finally getting that. So yeah, I'm tentatively say I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, but it's going to be a rough watch. So, a couple of smaller storylines before we get to being smug and the big storyline of Reiss. First off, we'll talk about Penny and Chelsea.
That bitch.
I mean, this was quite the moment for Penny, wasn't it?
I hate her. I don't even like how she is. I hate her.
I mean, I saw people online acting as though this was really out of character for Penny. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. I didn't expect it, but it's certainly not out of character. She's very ruthless.
I didn't expect her to do it quite as blatantly as she did. Like that was
And
quite a
she
shocker.
openly admitted it to Chelsea as
Yeah,
well. She went
not
like,
bothered, not bother
"Well,
on
there
her.
were a
Oh yeah,
vacancy. I saw an
and
opportunity." Not like, "Oh, me and Phil got chatting, and
yeah,
he asked me, and I had to take it because she was
yeah,
like, yeah,
no, not bothered about that.
got
No.
your job
So
now."
Penny's basically bored on the market. She's sick of people taking advantage of her because Avani nicks a top and runs off, and she's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" So she wants more control in her life. I think is what happens here.
Mhm.
I think maybe that's the key component of it is the fact that she feels like she is taken advantage of because she wants to be in charge. She wants to show people that she's not to be taken advantage of. I think this is where this spirals
You
from.
reckon?
Yeah. So she Chelsea says, "Well, I can give you a promotional thing in Peggy's. That's not a problem." So they are planning all this out in Peggy's, and Penny decides to open a bottle of champagne to celebrate this new venture between the two of them because they're sisters now, not for long.
Wicked
Um,
stepsisters.
yeah, Phil wanders down and sees Chelsea drinking from this champagne bottle that hasn't been paid for. So instantly says, "Well, you're demoted." Franklin Mamesi didn't sack her because normally Phil sacks people in this
I'm surprised
situation.
he didn't sack her. Actually, yeah,
But actually, what it is even more humiliating because she's now just Penny's subordinate. Because
yeah.
Penny strolls into the office and is like, so you're gonna give me that
There's a
job then, yeah?
vacancy, isn't there, Phil?
Vacancy, yeah, I'll take that. Cheers, thanks." I feels like fair
I
play
love
to you.
that Phil does no background checks or anything,
No,
just
Phil
lets her
could care
blag it. But
less.
I feel like Phil's like, I
Punishing
like
Chelsea.
you, so you can have
Yeah.
the job
He's
just
punishing
because I like
Chelsea.
you.
He's punishing
Yeah.
Chelsea, and he's like, "Yeah, fair. I like the way you did that. Yeah, that's how I
And
do
he's
it.
like,
Fair
oh well,
play."
she's Jack Branning's kid, so she must be legit.
Yeah, because Jack's all legit.
And he knows that Jack's not all legit, but
Yeah,
yeah, I get
I think he's.
the
I think.
idea.
I think there's a component of it where he's just punishing Chelsea further. Like it's just it's just a way of Phil exerting his own power over the situation.
Phil's
So
loneliness making him feel in control of
you know,
something and all
I
of
said this
that.
to you before we started. It's considering that Phil is going through this loneliness storyline. He featured in pretty much all the stories of this week
Yeah,
separately,
he did.
completely separately,
Literally.
in a different
Every
role in
single
every
one,
single one.
yeah.
Yeah, funny. So Penny he literally turns into Alan Sugar, is sat behind her desk, and tells Chelsea, "Yeah, well, you can call me Miss for a start." And she's an absolute dick to her, isn't she?
This is what I mean. Do you know how, like, with Janine, you know that she's bad
Mm,
and awful, but you love it? I just
yeah,
don't love
yeah.
this with Penny, though. I don't like it. I don't. Hopefully, we'll grow to like how she is. But right
Mm.
now, I just think she's nasty for its sake. Maybe it's because I like Chelsea. I'm like, how can you do
And
that to
Chelsea's
Chelsea?
side.
That's so harsh.
It was
Yeah.
just so underhand the way she did it. It was like
Yeah,
there was
really
no.
underhand.
It was really callous the way she did it. There was
Yeah.
no consideration there whatsoever. The fact that Chelsea's got a kid that she needs to provide
Yeah,
for, and
exactly.
she needs that manager's wage to pay for the fact that she lives in probably the
Hmm.
most expensive house in Wolford.
Yeah. Bottom of the
No,
square, yeah.
nothing, no interest in that whatsoever. It's like, "Yeah, I'll have that. Cheers, thanks. Yeah, yeah, and I'm your boss now, so you want to be doing as I say, or you're going to be sacked." And then then he's giving this really sanctimonious lecture to everybody else who works there, and then everybody else who thinks about stealing, you'll be sacked as well, even though she instigated the stealing in the first
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
Like
I know. I know.
mad, mad.
And then
So
for Phil, and then when Chelsea goes and tells Phil, oh, by the way, she's like Paris's best drug dealer. He's like, well, I don't like grasses.
yeah, yeah, just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I mean, I guess this is going to start a bit of a little mini feud between Chelsea and Penny. I know you say this about Penny, but I like these sorts of stories
Oh
where,
dear. Oh.
but I like these war within the workplace type storylines. I find them quite fun to watch. So I feel like there's
Yeah, I
going to
know
be
what you
quite a lot of
mean.
that.
Yeah.
And the fact that obviously Lauren's on her side, even though Lauren has experienced firsthand what Penny can be like with her underhandedness and
Mm.
not care and her own sort of twisted survival instincts to keep herself out of trouble. Nearly went to prison because of her. But Lauren saw like that's the only thing I was thought was a bit weird because Lauren was like, "Yeah, fair play." Like, no,
Yeah, she will.
you've been there.
But Penny might not have told her the full story, to be fair. Penny might have just gone, well, Chelsea got sacked. Maybe she's been like that with Lauren and said, Chelsea got sacked, so I just saw an opportunity. So Lauren's like, oh, nice one. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got yourself a good job. I've got a job now. We can both afford the flat that we live in. Maybe
Mm.
that's why Lauren were seeing it
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I need to see a bit more of this feud
Yeah,
now. But after this
I think it came
week,
across quite
I'm not a
suddenly,
fan
didn't
of
it?
Penny
No, no,
at
no.
all.
It was quite a sudden sort of
Yeah.
like directional shift, but I don't think it was
Mm.
out of character for her at all. In fact, to be
It
fair,
wasn't.
what I would also argue is that Penny actually hasn't had that much to do since she arrived.
Mm.
So anybody who's
True.
talking about her being out of character, I'd argue, what are you basing that on? You know, we have seen her
Oh, it
arrive.
don't feel out of character at
No, I don't
all.
think it does. So
Yeah.
I think I was just shocked by just how uncaring she was about the whole thing. I was like, wow, that's cold. Like,
Do
okay.
you think that Chelsea's going to somehow be involved? Not Chelsea, sorry, Penny going to be involved somehow in the spiking? Is that going to carry on being a bit of a
I don't
topic?
know.
Because
I kind
obviously
of
it
hope.
happened in the club
Yeah, and we've heard that it's been happening in the Albert
in
as
Walford.
well.
Yeah,
So in the Albert as well. So I wonder it's might be a thing. But then I wonder if the one guy that was arrested for it, I wonder if he was the guy that was doing it. So I don't know.
yeah. If it was just him going around doing
You
it.
could be right. The thing is, I'm wondering how capable Penny is going to be at doing this. Is she going to find that the job itself, like being the manager of a really busy bar, is too much for her? And then she's going to end up realizing
I
that this
think
was a
she'll
really
just
bad
blag it.
idea.
She'll just blag
Yeah,
it for as long as possible. I think
yeah,
she's got Phil wrapped around her finger already with looks of it.
yeah.
Do you think? By the way, do you think Potter is only doing it? Do you remember that comment she said to Chelsea, like, "Oh, you get loads of fit guys who were drunk, brilliant." Do you think she's
Yeah.
gonna like take advantage of that? And that's one of her other
She's pretty ruthless, is Penny. So
motivations.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to sort of see where how far
Mm,
Penny's going to go and how much of a ruthless character she's actually going to
yeah.
become. I know you don't
Mm.
like her because of that, but
Yeah, but I'm
it's
willing to. I'm being
yeah, it's
open-minded about it. But based on this week, I'm not a fan.
you don't
I
like her as a
must admit.
person. Yeah, no,
No.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
not like
yeah,
anything
yeah,
like the
yeah.
actress is doing
Oh
a
no, I know,
fantastic job
isn't
because I
she?
can't stand her.
I know because that smirk she gave to Chelsea. What to punch her, didn't you? Like
Yeah,
so
literally.
she's doing that brilliantly. Like clearly
Yeah,
this is supposed to be Penny at her most unlikable, and we're supposed to be
yeah,
feeling this way about
yeah.
her. So
Hmm.
if that's the goal
Well
achieved,
done.
back of the net, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, bring it on. But like I say, I like these sort of work feud storylines. We've not had one for a while, and I like the club as a setting. I feel like it's something that we should be exploring more. Zach's now kind of been left with not very much to do, so he can get
yeah.
involved
I
in this
wonder.
as well. So I'm always up for
Yeah.
it. I'm always up for storylines that kind of give characters stuff to do that they've been quiet for a little while. So
Hmm.
yeah, bring all this on. That's fine. I do want to briefly discuss Lauren and the stuff with Louis.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, from the week before.
Yes, I forgot to mention this earlier. So Louis, it transpires, has dyscalculia.
Yes.
Dyscalculia. And now I relate to this because I've got this as well.
Oh.
I've always really, really, really struggled with numbers, and I don't mean this in the same sort of way as how people turn around and say, "Oh, it's my OCD" when they haven't got OCD at all.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I really, really struggle with numbers. It's the only subject that I failed at school. I got a U in my GCSE in maths. Numbers have always the only thing I can do. I used to work in a supermarket on the tills, and I can do the money thing because it's very much routine, and you're
yeah.
sort of
Hmm.
like 50, 60, 70. I can do that, but giving me sums, I can't do sums in my head at all. So
So what
I
is it? Is it like? Is it literally like number dyslexia? Do the numbers
yeah,
like
it's
look all
effectively
jumbled
yeah.
up on the page and things like that to you if you're looking at
I mean,
them?
I think it affects different people in different ways. I
Yeah.
can, I did a test online and I got like, I think it was 75% or something. So I'm very much sort of in that spectrum
Yeah, yeah.
of of having that. I can read numbers, not a problem. Remembering numbers is a bad thing for me. Times
Uh,
tables, I'm absolutely rubbish at, so and mental maths I can't do in a million years. I have to use my fingers. The sum I always use to give an example of this is 9 plus 7 for some weird reason because I can't do that in my head. I have to
yeah.
genuine, and some people can just reel that off quite easily.
Yeah,
I've never,
16.
I've never ever been able to do
Yeah.
that. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I relate to this. I'm quite glad to sort of see this on
Yeah, yeah.
screen and sort of,
Good.
and maybe I can understand my own problems a little bit
Do you
more with
think they're
this.
gonna
So
do you think they're gonna delve into it further then? Is it gonna be a bit of a topic or do you think it was just a
yeah,
plot device for Lauren and Junior?
I mean, I think maybe a bit of both. I
Bit of
think this
both.
is, yeah. I mean, I don't think that Lauren and Junior are about to start having an affair. Famous last words. But I think it's more to show what sleazebag Junior is, if
Oh, it's
anything.
awful. And
Isn't he
he's another one I
just?
don't like.
I mean, he and Cindy end up having another night together, don't they? Because obviously Cindy falls
Hmm.
out with Ian again, and has just decided that I don't know what Cindy's moaning about. She needs to make her mind up. Does she want to be with Ian, or does she not want to be with Ian? Like, make
This
your
is what
mind
I'm
up, woman.
saying. I think she was more bothered about the thought of Ian having an affair because she thought, that's my
That's
thing,
my thing.
Ian.
I do
Hey,
affairs.
I'm
How
the one who does
dare
the
you?
affairs. Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
because,
She's
yeah,
such a messy woman. She's
isn't she?
fascinating to watch,
She's
isn't she? Because
great.
she's just such a
But
mess.
this is what I mean, though. This is what I want from Penny because Cindy is awful. Like her actions, some of them are ridiculous, but I love Cindy. I still love Cindy, but
Do
I'm
you,
not
now,
getting this with Penny yet.
where's the Can I ask you though?
Oh God,
Cindy
here we
and
go.
Junior have very
Yeah,
similar personality traits. So
that
why
is
do you love
true.
Cindy so much, and why do you hate Junior?
Do you know what it
You're
might
a
be with
massive misogynist,
Cindy?
is that what it is?
She's a bit camp though, isn't she, as well with it, Cindy, don't you think?
What's that got to
Maybe
do with
it's just,
anything?
but maybe it's just because it's a bit more dramatic. Maybe it's because I know Cindy's character more.
It's
So
sexism,
once
if
I
you ask
get
me,
to
Ray.
know, hmm,
It's sexism,
what?
if you ask me. It's sexist.
Sexist?
That's
Why?
sexism.
Why
That's all
is
it
it
is. Because
sexist?
you're
I don't like
loving a
Penny
woman.
either.
You're loving a woman. No, I'm not talking about Penny. I'm talking about the Junior and Cindy
Oh,
thing,
the
where they're both,
junior.
yeah, they're both exactly the same person in
Because
many ways.
Cindy doesn't, right, no, hang on if you're going to say that. Because Cindy is
Winding
not
you up.
walking around
Winding you up.
Albert Square
Yeah.
eyeing up every man that
Yes,
she
she
comes in
is.
contact with.
Yes, she
No,
is.
she's not. No, she's not. She didn't. Oh, no, actually, that's not
Yeah.
like she didn't go to Nish. Wait, they had to think for
Yeah.
like 2
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she does it, not in the
George.
way that Junior does
David's gonna
it.
come back. Junior. She couldn't get with George, so he decided to go with his son instead.
Junior, no, literally, Junior like looks at any woman who crosses his
Yeah,
path and
yeah.
is like,
I'm not
"You'll
denying that
do,
Junior. I'm
you'll
not
do,
denying that
you'll do."
Junior. Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on
yeah.
then, come
Yeah,
on
yeah,
then.
yeah. I'm not
Cindy's
denying that
got
Junior.
a bit pickier. Come on.
Oh, I mean, I'm not denying that Junior is an absolute sleazebag. There's no denying there whatsoever. I'm just intrigued by the fact that they are, in many ways,
I know what you're
very
saying.
similar personality
I
types.
do
They're
know what you're
both
saying.
completely moralless when it comes to affairs and all that kind of thing. So there's
I know what you, yeah.
maybe in some ways they're quite well suited together. It's an interesting sort of
But I do know
dichotomy.
Cindy's character better, so that's probably
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
I'm all
yeah,
right with
yeah.
Cindy. We don't know that much about
Interesting.
Junior. Maybe when we find out more of his background and we understand
Mm.
why he behaves that way.
I'm,
Anyway.
you know, I'm very aware that very often the woman gets the blame in these sorts of situations. So I'm not doing that, but
I'm
I'm
like,
just
oh, crack on, Cindy,
yeah,
Junior. Oh no,
interesting. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Yeah, there
I
you
don't
go.
know.
There you go. Right. So, we have one brief little storyline left to discuss before we get to the big one, and that is Linda. So, before we get to the big one, briefly discuss Linda and the plea hearing that Dean has approaching. Obviously, Linda not dealing with the situation well, and she is starting to behave a little bit suspiciously in front of Bernie. How much longer is Linda going to be able to keep on top of this? Because it's not looking good, is it? She started drinking again. So it's a matter of time, I think. This is all going to cascade quite quickly, I think, isn't it?
It depends on how well is she going to do, because obviously she's a key witness in September. They said,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it's
yeah.
his actual
Yeah, so
court case.
the court case approaches. The plea hearing, obviously, he's pleaded not guilty to that,
Not guilty,
but they're keeping him in prison for the moment. Do you think that? I mean, obviously, this is just prediction of what's going to happen in the court case, but is that going to be the end of Dean? Is he going to be released? Is what's going to happen? Do we think? Oh, and do we reckon on the subject of returns, Shirley?
Oh, maybe she'll come back for the court
Yeah,
case.
maybe that would be good, wouldn't it?
Is Dean going to have got in touch with her somehow from prison and be
I
like,
reckon
"Mum,
so.
you've got to believe me"? And
I
she'll be
reckon
like, "I
so.
actually do believe you,
I reckon
Dean."
so. I reckon so. I think we might.
Interesting.
I'm going to put I'm going to put a prediction on that we're going to see Shirley at the court case.
I
Yes.
hope so. I really hope so. I'd love to
Yeah.
see Shirley back. I
So
love
would I.
Shirley.
Leonard did say we've not seen the last of her, and it does sort of remind me the way that Shirley's left sort of reminds me of the way that Emily Bishop left Corrie, where the producer was like, "No, we've not seen the last of her, and she's not been seen in years." So yeah, it'd be interesting. But it's Linda. The fact that Linda started drinking again doesn't bode well because she's so loose with her tongue when she's drunk.
Well,
like,
literally, remember that's why we had the scene with Sharon and Johnny like hosing her down with a shower head. Yeah.
And now she started drinking again and was saying quite loudly in the cellar, "I killed Keanu," and I was sort of like, "Is anyone hearing this? Like, be careful, love, Jesus." So not good at all.
What if Phil starts drinking as well? Then you're gonna have Phil and Linda who both know this secret.
They're doomed. The six are doomed. That's it. It's all gonna cascade horribly from here in the run up to the 40th. I think the way that this whole six thing is eventually going to end is around the 40th, and I think it's good. The 28 or whatever they are these days. I think it's all going to ultimately culminate in around the 40th. I think obviously that will be just something that is going on during the 40th, I think, but that's when it's all going to come out, I think.
You reckon?
Or maybe around Christmas. We've got Christmas to come as well. We have no idea what the big Christmas storyline will be at this point because it's only July. But I feel like this is where it's heading for either Christmas or the anniversary. Something is going to. I think the big cataclysmic explosion of the end of this storyline is going to be around that time, and Linda's going to be in prison. And then what I want to happen is Linda will be sent to prison, and Janine will be her cellmate. Thanks.
Yeah, but if they send Linda to prison for this, it's going to be for a while, so hopefully not.
Oh yeah, but then something will happen, like Richie will get her out or something. That's fine. Sharon will be.
Yeah, why not?
Richie can do anything. Richie can do anything. So she'll get sent to prison for a little bit, and then Richie will sort it out. But she'll have a two-hander with Janine in her episode in her cell. That's what's going to happen, and then she's going to get released. Perfect. Can't wait for that to happen. Marvelous.
Sounds like it's
Yep. That's that done then. Right. Biggest storyline of the week now. Look at the smug expression on her face. Let's talk about Reiss.
So, Rob, do you remember a couple of weeks ago that I had a theory whilst we were recording an episode?
Yep.
Do you remember what that theory was? It was to do with Reiss and his wife, Debbie.
Yep.
Yes. You know these crazy theories that I supposedly have that are
even a broken clock's right twice a day,
Exactly. And this broken clock is very right.
Yes, on this occasion, the broken clock.
I mean, to be fair, once I'd said it, it made total sense, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, by the time it happened, it seemed like literally the only option that was available for the storyline to actually progress. But was
it the only option, Rob, or could they have just moved Debbie to a council room place?
Yeah, they could have done. But you know what?
If they'd done
that, but the thing is, if they'd done that, then she possibly wouldn't have had her makeup done every morning and wouldn't have looked so angelic.
True. Is that what they were paying for?
I think so. Professional. Right, I think 13 grand's worth of makeup experts to make her look her best every single morning. That Debbie absolutely looks like angelic when she's in bed.
Stunning, doesn't she?
Absolutely stunning. And she had this really sort of Sleeping Beauty type smile on her face throughout the entire thing, which disappeared as soon as she was suffocated.
Well,
it
makes
would,
sense.
wouldn't it? It would, wouldn't it? So, Reiss is a killer. I don't think I'm thrilled with this development, I have to say. I didn't want it to go in this direction. I pray to God that this is the only death in this storyline and this is going to be more about... Well, I was just
going to say, it depends where this turns now. Is he going to carry on killing people now he's got the book?
I really don't want that. I really don't want a serial killer storyline out of this. I really don't. But
he's desperate. He's getting desperate.
It's never just one, is it?
It is so John State.
This is John State. It's John State all the way through this storyline.
From Coronation Street for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you've not heard us discuss this, but this isn't the first time we've said this. John State basically was a storyline in Coronation Street where it was basically a really fumbling serial killer that didn't necessarily want to be a killer. But he wasn't like a mustache twiddling villain, was he? But he sort of, his own lies just sort of kept tripping him up, and he found himself in various situations where he had to keep killing just to keep people quiet, and just and his lies just escalated, and his life just exploded, and it all became terrible. And there is a perfectly sort of feasible route for Reiss to be going in that direction. Absolutely. I just don't want it. I'm gutted that, because the thing is Reiss is now on the shelf, isn't he? This has given Reiss a shelf life. He can't stay. We don't
know. Let's have faith. But I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if it doesn't go that way.
It'll be gone by the anniversary, is my prediction.
Do you know what I've been theorizing? And you know what? You can't say anything about my theories anymore, by the way. No matter how out there they are.
Can I not little Miss Bird poo on the front door? Yeah, go on.
I've got one right. Oh, stop talking about that bird poo. I was just riffing when I said that.
Yeah, riffing, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, go on then.
No, I'm wondering, right? And this is total conspiracy, if you like. But Natalie Cassidy has been doing a lot of podcast recordings, etc. Is she going to leave?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I know that nothing's been announced, but is she going to get sent to prison for Debbie's death?
Yeah,
and have the baby in prison
the thing is,
Natalie Cassidy's going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's going to leave. I think at most she might have a break, but I feel like
hopefully I don't want her to leave. But
no. But I feel like this is the fact is that it's going to be very easy to pin this on Sonia because she went to the care home to see Debbie. and put her DNA all over the bloody place with holding her hands because Sonia's the queen of the NHS and believed that kind words could cure Debbie of her ailments and expected her to squeeze her hand in return. Yeah, that happened. And then she sort of fluffed up the pillow, moved Debbie's head. So her DNA's all over the bloody place.
Didn't even think about a fluff in the pillow.
Yeah, she did all that. So her DNA is on the murder weapon. And then she got out, and the grumpiest nurse I've ever seen in my life bollocked her because she hadn't signed in. This nurse was so angry at life. She hated her job. Hated her job, this nurse. So,
but that was obviously being made a point of so that the nurse can be like, I know you were there. Because I was in a very angry, it was a very, that's an unforgettable moment. Yeah.
And even without her, there'll be CCTV footage and all of this kind of thing.
Well, if the CCTV footage, then you'll see Reiss. So there's not going to be CCTV.
But Reiss has a reason to be there because he's the husband, right? Reiss
he would have been the last person to see her, and they would have said, "Did you not notice that she was dead?" Like,
well, what is the difference between visually? What is the difference between where she was and?
Well, a smile had gone for one.
That's true. She stopped smiling. Yeah, her makeup had faded. Her makeup was all over the pillow. What's gone on here? I mean, so basically the start of all this is Reiss's money problems are continuing. He owes 13,000 odd grand to the care homes because their makeup artists are really, really expensive. So he's basically trying to swindle more money out of Sharon. Phil, again involved in another storyline this week, is basically kind of doesn't trust Reiss as far as he can throw one piano.
Fully fair on this, right?
Oh yeah.
Sharon would normally be all over this, but obviously we've been seeing her with Linda, and she's completely distracted by the Keanu stuff.
Yeah.
But then the fact that she's like 13.5 grand. Oh, I might double it. Go on then, Reiss.
I can move that around. Yeah, she didn't seem overly concerned about the fact that she had to pay 13 grand. I mean,
and
if that was either of us,
we'd
be like, how the hell am I going to find 13 grand from anywhere?
Phil was totally right to be like, well, that's a load of rubbish. We're on property tax. I understand how that works, and to get a figure like that would be wrong.
Yeah.
Like to be like, oh yeah, you didn't pay 13.5 grand on your end of year tax returns last year. That's quite a big sum to just miss. And
I mean, they basically kind of they've papered over that with the fact that Sharon's been a bit busy of late. What I mean. Dealing with Keanu and everything.
Even
so Reiss
still, I thought she was super naive, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that she decided to go with this deal just to sort of go against Phil. I don't think she wanted
in the end. I think it was that.
I think it was more to do with that rather than going, oh, I could make money out of this. She's like, no, screw you, Phil. I'm going to do what I want. Thanks very much.
Well, actually, I'm the one who signs it over.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm also kind of wondering where Reiss thinks he's going to get all this extra money from. It's like he's thinking very immediately in these situations rather than thinking of the long-term implications of what he's doing.
Well, it was only when Sonia said we've got to carry on paying him, we're still going to have to pay these fees.
Yeah,
that he went,
and also the fact that once he'd done the deed with Debbie, he didn't even consider for the fact that there's going to be a post-mortem. So they're going to know that she hasn't died from natural causes.
How did he not think that?
Well, I think he genuinely thought it would make sense for her to die. I think he genuinely thought, like, she's been unconscious for God knows how long now, for many, many months. It makes sense for her to just slip away.
Everyone has a post-mortem. Is that not a fact? Is that not something that we all know?
Yeah, and this is, I think, where the John Stape elements are going to start coming into it because of just complete and utter incompetence in terms of how he's going about this. So yeah, all these money worries kind of keep going on, and so he decides that the only option he has is for Debbie to slip away because hopefully that will make all the money problems disappear. So he goes to the care home and very tearfully says goodbye to Debbie and then places the pillow over it. Now, was there a moment where you kind of thought, oh, has he done it? Has he not done it? Or
because the duff was him holding the pillow.
I was clinging to every hope that he hadn't done it. But by then I was...
because I was like, is someone going to walk in and he's just going to like...
or she's going to wake up. Imagine she'd woken up at that moment. I wondered if she was going to wake up just as he was about to put the pillow down. That would have confused matters slightly. But no, he put the pillow over her face and he killed her.
Yeah.
So... I don't know.
But this is what I mean. Why was the option kill her or send her to just send her to a council run place?
Put her somewhere cheaper, for God's sake. How about that? But then I suppose he'd still have the debts to pay, wouldn't he?
Does he still have what?
He's still got to pay for I don't know. He's still got the 30. Even if the bills are going to stop from now on, he's still got the 13 grand that he owes anyway. So his money problems don't necessarily completely disappear immediately, because he's
No, but
still
he
going to
doesn't
have
have
to
to
find.
keep. But he doesn't have to keep paying if she goes to a council place. That's what I'm
No, but
saying.
he
He
would
didn't have to
still.
kill her.
No, I know, but he still would have to have paid the money that he owed up to then to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
posh council
yeah.
place, and then would have to have found more money to put her in somewhere else, and as well as now finding more money to show Sharon that he was right in giving her she was right in giving him all the money. He's in so
Oh
much
well.
debt. Like, he's screwed. He's
I
put
think
himself
he
in
can
an
write
impossible
that Sharon debt
situation.
off and go, "I'm sorry, Sharon, it didn't come through,"
But
and
then
leave
isn't
it at
she now
that.
going to say, "Oh, can I have my 13 grand back then?"
Well, no, because she's signed it over.
It's tenuous. Let's be fair. He's screwed. He's absolutely screwed, I think.
My
And now
main thing is, he's saying how clumsy it was. Who is it who's going to figure it out what he did? Because we've just
Sonia.
theorized that. Well, we've just theorized that Bianca's going to be back. What if she isn't What if she isn't
No,
locked away in the
I,
shed
do you know
right
what?
now?
I'm even
What
believing
if she,
that now. Yeah,
But
yeah,
she might not be right now, but she might come back and put all the pieces together about Reiss, figure it out, and then he locks her away or
maybe.
something.
Yeah, yeah. It's all gonna go now in a very.
Oh, now you believe that
Yeah, I
Bianca could
believe you
get
now.
locked
Yeah,
up in a shed.
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I know,
and
yeah.
and then there'll be other people tied up as well. And
Mm.
that poor person's got to be tied to a pole with Bianca gobbing off next to them. It's going to be torture, absolute torture. Um, so yeah, I mean, my initial reaction to this is, oh God. Because I didn't want Reiss to be a killer, because I quite like Reiss as the comedy character that he was. I've no drama about giving him a serious storyline to do, but I feel like this is now giving him a shelf life. It's now turned him into an unforgivable character. Despite,
Mm.
no matter what sort of motives you kind of can almost understand as to why he did what he did, it's still giving him a shelf life. It's still turned him into
Yeah.
a killer. And where the hell does it go from here?
And they're already trying to turn him into looking a little unhinged, aren't they? Like when he started
Yeah,
laughing and then crying.
yeah,
That we're
yeah.
all like,
He's gone
oh, I
mad.
don't know what
He's
I'm
gone
doing.
mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gone mad. Sonia was
But
almost about
Sonia's
to.
pregnant still. Is she
Sonya's
gonna
pregnant.
is the
Oh, so
pregnancy
that
gonna
was the
work
other thing.
out?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the other thing that was kind of spurred him to this, because I'm now got to pay for a kid that's on the way. Like, the first time in the
Mm.
whole process of his IVF storyline where he was like, I could do with you not being pregnant at this moment, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all sort of cascading horribly into a
Mm.
big chasm of messiness for Reiss now. So I don't know. I just pray that this is the only death in the storyline. I don't want him to become a serial killer. I really don't. Like, this feels like it's enough. You know what I mean? Like, he's just killed his wife, okay? Because he's been that desperate. How does he deal with the guilt of doing that? He
Mm.
surely doesn't have to kill anybody else.
Who
Surely.
else would he kill though? Let's be real. Or who else would he? This is what I mean though. There's no one that I can think of that, right, we're going to
At the
literally write
moment.
them off forever. Mm.
Yeah,
But
I
Lauren
don't
and
know.
Martin have been getting involved
Yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
now as well.
Yeah, who knows? This is the problem with these sorts of storylines. I'm still somewhat scarred by the Grey story, where they were literally just throwing characters they wanted to get rid of in Grey's direction and giving him really
Oh yeah,
tenuous reasons to
Tina.
kill them.
That should have
Yeah,
never happened.
no, Tina shouldn't have happened. Kush shouldn't have happened.
Oh God, Kush,
Chantel's
yeah.
death was the best part of that storyline, and then it all went south from there.
Oh yeah.
So this is what worries me about these sorts of storylines, is that it's always a good it's a good way to get rid of a few characters if you want to. It's
It's
effectively
gonna.
like it's
It.
effectively like a long
Mm,
running stunt storyline. Like, you want to kill
yeah.
off a few characters, let's blow up a building. But this is a longer term way of doing it. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I trust this era to do stuff right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
At the moment I'm feeling like it's a bit of a misfire, but I
Mm,
could be completely wrong. But I at the moment I feel like I didn't want Reese to become a killer. He's now a
no.
killer, and how much worse is this going to get for his character?
I'm wondering, is it all going to ultimately end in a bit of a? God, we keep talking about Corey. I'm really sorry if you like hate
If you've never
Corey,
even heard, the people have
but
never even heard of Corey.
is it going to end in a bit of a Richard Hillman type thing, and he's going to drive into her, and it's going to with Sonia and the baby, and be like, well, if we can't all live
I
together
love
here, then
you.
yeah,
It
you know what I
was
mean?
always you and me, always and forever, but played on the tuba. There you
Oh.
go. Tuba music playing as they go into the canal.
Yeah.
The people have no idea
Mm,
what we're talking about. We'll carry on.
no, sorry if you don't.
So there's that. So that's all happened.
Mm,
So at the moment, I feel like it's initially the first thing he's going to have to deal with is the post-mortem, which is going to surely reveal that she was suffocated.
Yeah.
So this is all going to start going. This isn't something that he's going to be able to hide for very long. The first thing is people are going to come asking Sonia and him questions because they are the only people that have been into Debbie's room.
Mm-hmm.
So surely his only way of he's gonna have to stitch up Sonia for this now, isn't he?
Well, yeah, because as well, all the evidence is on Sonia. Sonia's pregnant. They're in debt. She's tried to put the house up for sale. Now she doesn't have to because Debbie's not there. She's made a passing comment to Martin. Did anybody else hear that when she said it to Martin? Remember when she was talking to him on the stove?
Yeah, you know who walked past when she said that was Jack and Callum. Jack and Callum were walking past when she said that.
Yeah, but Jack will have her back.
I don't know if they heard it.
Denise's back with Keanu.
I don't know if they heard. They didn't actually. I think they kind of. Like I feel like their head, Callum will be all over it. I think one of their heads, I can't remember which one it was, but one of their heads slightly turned when she said it, but then sort of carried on with their own conversation. So I feel like it was very deliberate that two police officers walked by at the point that she said that. So yeah, this Sonia's going to ended up getting fitted up for this. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes from here. I'm concerned in the fact that I just don't like serial killer storylines, so I hope it's not going down that route. I'm kind of gutted that Reiss has now got a shelf life. He'll be gone by the anniversary, I think, now, because surely he has to be. He's going to face justice for it at some point. So that's it. That's the end of Sonia and Reiss's relationship as we knew it from this point onwards, I think, which is a shame because I thought they worked really, really well together.
Yeah, I know. Same. But this is the way that it's gone. And you know what? People, there were so many people who saw this coming before us, Rob.
I know.
Going, is it wrong? And we're like,
I was in denial.
I was in denial.
I was in denial this whole time. And the thing is, this has obviously been planned from the start with Reiss because because the production team have been saying all the way through this. Yeah, we know you've got questions about Reiss. Don't worry. Yeah. No, we know the answers, but you will soon. Don't you worry about that. So this has clearly been the plan throughout this ever since they introduced Angelic Debbie. So it's, by the way, I'd love to have had her role. That's a great role to have, isn't it? You come into work every so often, lie down, go sleep for a few hours. That's all right. I could do it. Get paid an actor's wage. I'd love that. Oh, well, perfect. Perfect. Do you have to audition for a part like that, do you think?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
What do you do?
I was actually watching and I was like, when he'd put the pillow over her, I can't even see the actress breathing because sometimes you can still see them breathing.
Yeah. Their eyelashes
are very
flutter or something. You get the odd eyelash flutter or something.
Yeah.
Or can you visibly show me the difference between you being in a coma and being dead? Like, show me the differences in that. Yeah. Like, fair play to her. So there we are then. So let's see where that goes from here. Gold star this week, Ree. What do you think?
Reiss.
Is it? You actually give it to Reiss. Fair, give it to Reiss. That's fine. I was going to give mine to Sonia. Actually, I really enjoyed Sonia this week. There was a great scene between her and Martin and Lauren. I like that scene in the kitchen. Yeah. Some great lines there with the red flag, peach flag, and magenta flag.
It's not magenta then.
Yeah, I thought that was a great. I thought that was a great little scene. Sonia is so funny. Sonia is so funny when she's sanctimonious. I love her. Go on.
I was just going to say, I need to justify giving it to Reiss.
He
has done so well. What a performance this week, though. Come on. I hate the way that it's going, but brilliant performance of it. And
I mean, I just got to accept it now. It's happened. I'm disappointed that it's gone in this route.
We're speculating. We don't know he's going to turn into a serial killer. We don't know where it's going. Hope not. We don't know.
Well, put it like this. Where I have faith is the fact that there's been many storylines in this era where I thought, well, clearly it's going in that direction, and they've subverted my expectations. Now, the predictable point of this is you think this is the start of a soap serial killer storyline, and I hope that they do the subverting again and send it in a different direction. Like, one feels like enough in terms of because you've got to think about it. He has got to deal with this guilt. He doesn't have to kill somebody else in order to make the guilt go away, does he?
Maybe he won't kill, and it'll just be like we say, he's going to lock a few people up in a shed to keep them quiet for a bit.
We'll have to wait and see. Let us know in the comment section below where you think this is going. What do you think of the story? What do you think of anything that's happened this week with the Cat and Tommy stuff? Let us know in the comment section below. Right, talking of comments, talking of you guys, let's see what you had to say about this week's EastEnders.
So starting with a comment from Emma Selby, who says, I'm still unclear about whether Debbie has life insurance Reiss can now claim. If not, could he have not just moved her to the public care home? Or maybe it is an even darker side of him that sees her as an impediment to his life moving forwards. So much they can do now with this story.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that was interesting about this was the fact that many people were saying that they didn't believe that Debbie had even had a stroke or something, and that Reiss had somehow
Yeah.
responsible for her being in hospital. Which, again, I think throughout all of these theories have been thrown out about Reiss, I've been sort of batting them away, going, no, not believing that, no, because I just didn't want them to be true,
Yeah.
even though
Well,
they make perfect sense.
see, now I'm more inclined to believe that it didn't have anything to do with it,
Mm.
actually, and that she did just have a
Oh
stroke.
no, she's
and
definitely
this is
just
him in
yeah,
desperate times.
she's definitely just had a stroke because actually, logically, why like
Yeah.
she's been in a care home for Christ's sake. Like, she
So then
wouldn't have
why
been.
would he try and kill her and then keep paying for her care?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
mad, feeling mad guilt about it.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
she did make a point of, I kept saying, why not send her to a normal a council run, care home.
Mm.
Is it because he's wanting to claim a life insurance, actually?
Maybe. I mean, I could you could see that. I think that he wanted to give her the best care possible, and at the time he could afford to do that. But
Yeah.
then obviously his life's sort of gone downhill a little bit since then in
Yeah.
terms of his finances. So maybe
Yeah.
I think that's basically how it's
Okay.
ended up. Gemma Archer has said, love him or hate him, Reiss is such an interesting character. I hope this isn't the beginning of another serial killer storyline, but if it is, at least he's a bit more three-dimensional than Gray. It's a very extreme version of how people under extreme pressure make decisions they wouldn't ordinarily make and somehow manage to justify to themselves what they have done. Looking forward to seeing where this goes. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just my complete and utter because it's just been done so many times since Richard Hillman. Like every soap has been looking for its own Richard Hillman, including Corrie, trying to replay victories since that storyline started, and they've become more and more sort of long-winded and predictable in some ways. You know what I mean? And obviously, the last time EastEnders did a serial killer storyline, it was not received brilliantly.
Great.
So, I mean, again, it's a different team. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. I really don't know.
She's right there. At least he is a lot more three-dimensional than Gray. I've got to give him
100%.
that.
Yeah, he's more interesting. He's more interesting than Gray, and he's got more personality than Gray in a lot of ways as well. But I don't know. I don't know.
I've got a comment here from Rachel Fleming who says, well, that has wrecked Reiss now. I really liked the character when he arrived, but now they've created a shelf life for him. He now reminds me of the John State character from Corrie, ignoring the affair with Rosie Webster.
I don't know who you mean. Who's John State?
No,
John State. We know them. Yeah, I think the comparisons are there for that, aren't they? It's a different way of telling that story in terms of like you haven't got a mustache twiddling villain. So it's somebody that is just watching their life just completely and utterly disintegrate around them. So that's an interesting story, but I don't know. Then we had a bit of a conflab on Facebook. Becky L. Pickering started with, I feel like one of the few people who have consistently enjoyed the storyline and really like Reiss. You're not alone in liking Reiss. I think, before this storyline, I liked that he served as some light comic relief and a unique character. Yes. I've also enjoyed seeing a character who is a nice person get pushed and pushed until he ends up doing things he never would have. It's very interesting to me.
And then Jordan Carter has replied with, I agree with this. I think it's added a lot of layers to his character. Sure, it does create a shelf life, but it beats the stereotypical villain that is usually made in soaps. I don't see him becoming the next serial killer, but I wouldn't be opposed to it if it's done right. This will certainly be a big storyline for the anniversary week. I'm happy with the direction of this character and look forward to what happens next.
There you go. See, it's different views and everything. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I have liked Reiss and I've loved the comedy that he's brought. I think he's been a really funny character. So for me, I feel like it's a shame that we're clearly now going to lose that.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest casualty out of this, that we've lost a genuinely good comedy character.
I agree, but it's interesting because a lot of people have hated him since he come in anyway.
Yeah,
so they're
weird,
probably not as fussed as
he's been quite a Marmite character, and so something like this actually gives them a good reason to dislike him. So yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And then finally on the Tommy storyline, Amy Louise Whitewolf, good name, has said, wonder if the Tommy and Kat abuse storyline will end in a return of Zoe, who was a product of the last time Kat was abused by family. Possibly a recast, but I bet Chris Crenshaw could coax anyone into returning at this point, or her evil Irish twin Dermot, who hasn't been mentioned since Redwater. We don't speak about Redwater.
We don't speak about Redwater.
We don't speak of Redwater. No. But great point there, Zoe. And Yeah.
No, it's got you can't do a recast of Zoe. I'm
Well,
sorry.
there's no point if they're doing big returns for the running up to the 40th. There's no point in recasting. Either do it or
No.
But I agree that there is definitely potential for Zoe in this storyline, and I think it's a really, really interesting point raised there about the product of the last time Kat was abused by family. Because actually, obviously, Kat has a long history of abuse within the family home. So it's interesting to sort of see how Kat will deal with this. Kat has been abused quite a lot in her life. She's one of these people that I think sort of when she thinks that she deserves it, because we all know that Kat is a really tough exterior, but quite a soft, vulnerable interior. So I'm intrigued to sort of see where Kat goes with this. It's whether she's going to sort of put her head down and deal with the beatings that she's going to receive because she thinks that she deserves it, or whether she's going to fight back. The fact that she fought back this time and Tommy immediately went and ran the police suggests to me that she's going to have to deal with it differently the next time it happens. So I think there is potential for this to be a really interesting study of Kat's psychological makeup in terms of the effects that her life has had on her up to this point and how she then deals with this.
I wonder if now that you've said that, she's almost going to allow Tommy to do it and say, just whatever you do, don't hurt your brothers, because she thinks in a way that'll keep the family together. Otherwise, if you just start taking it out on other family members or she starts retaliating, social services are going to come knocking again. So is she going to go, do you know what? The easiest way is for me to allow you to take your anger out on me.
Interesting.
The boxing's clearly not worked, has it?
No, it doesn't seem that is always the solution to angry men. Who knew? Who knew? Right, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us for this extra long episode. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes, you can indeed. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back same time next week. Promise. And we will be back same time next week until I go to Asia, unless Ree decides to drop an extra holiday on me. Let's hope she doesn't.
Doubt it.
No. So there we are then. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye. See you later. Bye.
Bye.